Hello, SRL fans, and welcome back to more racing here on the official SRL YouTube channel. My name is Sam, and I am once again back after a one race hiatus where I unfortunately couldn't be with you, but thankfully my stand-in commentator Nick van Gelder did an amazing job last time out. But we are back and we are ready for round 16 of the championship, and we are heading to the streets of Las Vegas for this one. 25 laps around the casino capital, and if anything that happened last race is to go by, this is going to be a cracking race as well. Loads of controversy last time out, and also a lot of confusion. A race that had to be counted back instead of finishing on the actual last lap. It had to be run back, but we are going to get into that as soon as the grid starts to fill up. But as you can see, a couple of drivers have already joined, so let's just quickly run through them, and as people join we will also pay attention to them. But Sandro Dulis once again in the Ferrari, as he is always. Same for Alexei Koivuniemi in the Alpine. And then we have championship challenger Tim Ventink. He is in the Red Bull, and at the moment he is, well, doing his very best to try and limit the damage that championship leader Jerome Adamaco is causing out in front in the championship. At the moment, Jensen Randall still fighting for P3 in the championship. Hasn't had the best of luck, and also last time out in China didn't have the best of luck under the safety car. And his championship defense is not going according to plan. Then we have Mason Kemmerer back again. He is in the Kick Sauber. He is substituting today. Robin Herstadhagen in the Haas is present as always. And then we have Justin Koval in the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls. He is substituting for Andrea Latrella here today. Mike Lowry in the Haas has proven to be a very competent driver, and much like with Kemmerer, Lowry also on home soil here today in the United States, so hopefully they can both have a brilliant race and finish not only just in the points, but maybe also in some high points paying positions. Ivan Brito, though, speaking of high finishing positions, had his best finish last time out in China, came home with a 4th place finish, and that is the best that the Portuguese driver has ever produced, so very solid job from him. And then we have Jack Richards in the Aston Martin once again, and then we have championship leader Jerome Adamaco in the other Mercedes. And Mercedes, speaking of, had a very good points harvest the last time out, with Adamaco ending up as the victorious driver and Brito just outside the podium, collecting a lot of points for the Constructors' Championship. And they are competing against these two guys, the Williams drivers. Nicolo Falsaresi at the moment in a hard-fought battle with Jensen Randall over the 3rd place in the driver standings, and Jamie Jägerström still trying to get that maiden victory in SRL. He has occupied both podium spots below that. He has multiple finishes on the podium, but he is yet to take his maiden F1 victory. So maybe that could be today here on the streets of Vegas. And there we have Pablo Bas joining in. He will be slotting into the Alpine alongside Alexei Koivuniemi, and Dion Stahl also joining in. He is obviously in the 2nd Ferrari seat. But speaking of last race, unfortunately I wasn't able to be there and do commentary for you guys. But as I said, Nick van Gelder did a brilliant job in covering for me, and I do have to send a heartfelt thank you to him for doing that for me. But yeah, a lot of controversy last time out. The race had to be run back due to a glitched safety car. The last safety car that was called out had a glitch, which meant that the finishing order was all jumbled up. at the end, so the race stewards ended up deciding to run the race results back a couple of laps before the safety car was called out. And on that note as well, it has to be said we also did see a disqualification last time out. We're not going to talk more about that. We're not going to dive too deep into that because it really isn't worth talking about, to be honest. But there was a lot of chaos. But with that being said, there was also a lot of good racing, and hopefully we are going to have some more good racing here today. And good to see you guys active on the live chat. That is always nice to see, and nice to see you as well, Theo. Good to see you. And Whippo Film says that Vegas is always chaos. It pretty much is. I mean, I can only speak from experience behind the wheel, and that was last year. Vegas was a chaotic race with a late safety car and some carnage in terms of drivers who ended up retiring. So yeah, Vegas always produces a pretty decent race from experience, so that is nice. And Theo saying that he's manifesting a Jan Holm victory. That is a throwback for those who've been with us for a long time. And Jan Holm, obviously one of the former drivers here in SRL, unfortunately doesn't race with us anymore. But yeah, he was the older gentleman driver in the league, the oldest driver to have participated in SRL. Raced many seasons for what was Alfa Romeo Sauber for many years. So yeah, he was always someone who very rarely, much like Robin Herstadhagen, got into any kind of trouble. And he was just a very chill and relaxed guy to be around. And obviously I do have a little bit of favoritism towards him because much like Jamie Jägerström and myself, he was also Danish. So yeah, he was the H president when he was still active in the league. Unfortunately, as I said, he is no longer here in the league. But if he by chance happens to be watching, we do wish you all of the best, Jan. And yeah, hopefully you can come back soon. That would be very nice, though. And good to see a lot of activity on the live chat. I will try to be reading a little bit while we are going through qualifying, potentially through the race, if the race settles down and becomes a little bit dull towards the midway of the race. But again, with it being Vegas, I highly doubt that this is going to be a boring race, but we will see. We will see. But yeah, to everyone who's on the live chat, make sure that if you have any questions, just throw them in there, and I'll try and answer to the best of my abilities. And yeah, Jan Holm, just to round that off, absolute racing legend here in SRL. But we are ready to get underway for qualifying here at Vegas for round 16 of the Formula One World Championship. And with that being said, it also means that the season is slowly creeping towards the end here. So things will have to be settled soon. Will it be Jerome Adamaker with an absolute landslide victory in the championship? Or will we see Tim Venting mount a championship comeback? It soon will be uncovered. But we are ready to get going here. And nice to see so many people watching. That's always nice. Always nice. And now people are just getting ready to pick their tire compounds for this race weekend. We can see Nick van Gelder is the last one to pick. And let's see what kind of weather we're going to have here. Because that is obviously also something that has to be a little bit exciting. But yeah, it seems like it's going to be dry for this qualifying session. At least as far as I am aware. But yeah, a night race, obviously. this one. So let's see. Jensen Randall usually ends up being the first one to leave the pits. So we're just going to strap the camera to him. But in saying that, it looks like Falsaresi might be the first one to head out on track. So let's jump on board with the Italian here, as his Williams is the first car to hit the track here in Las Vegas. And what can the number 99 produce here in qualifying? Let's just, while the drivers are completing their outlaps here, let's just quickly run through the current championship standings, because those are obviously becoming more and more important as we get closer to the end of the season. If we look at the driver standings, at the moment, Jerome Adamaco is in the championship lead with 287 points. And second place, as I said earlier, is Tim Venting with 218 points. So he is quite far behind Adamaco, but there has been rumors that Adamaco might miss a couple of races towards the end of the season. And if that is the case, and Tim Venting can capitalize whenever those races come around, as we see the Mercedes there of, who would that be? That would be potentially either Adamaco or Ivan Brito. I think that might be Brito. Nope, that is Adamaco. But yeah, he's in the championship lead, and he has a sizable gap. At the moment, Nicolo Falsaresi, the man in third place, he is on 186 points over Jensen Randall's 178 points, who is in P4 of the championship, with Sandro Dooley sitting on 135 points in P5. And those are the only three drivers to cross over the 100-point barrier, because in 6th place at the moment is Jamie Jägerström with 80 points. And then we have George Wilkes in the Aston Martin. He's on 60 points. So as we get further down the championship tree, as we see one of the Ferraris there has sent it into the wall. That is the number 19 of Dion Stahl. We're going to stick on board here with Jerome Adamaco on his first flying lap attempt, but that could have disrupted the German's flow there, and maybe he was prevented from having the optimal entry to that specific corner. But let's see what he can do. Let's quickly run through the Constructors' Championship as well, because Mercedes at the moment are in front. They are sitting on 305 points over Williams on 277 points. But Red Bull, to be fair, are not too far behind on 251 points in the Constructors' Championship. So everything is still to play for here in both championships. So nothing has been decided yet, as Adamaco, big cloud over the curb there as he rounds the final corner for his first flying lap attempt. What is he going to produce in terms of lap time? It is going to be a 1 minute 30.2, and Falsaresi behind him is just about 6/10 down on the German. Jensen Randall slots into P3 on a 131 flat, and Jack Richards on a 131.3 slots into P4. So let's pick up Tim Venting, who is out on track, but he has run wide into turn 1, it would seem. So he's made a mistake on his first attempt. So he's going to have to go around again and try again. Meanwhile, Koval has slotted into P4 ahead of Richards, Kemmerer in P6 and Koivaniemi in P7 at the moment. Let's see what Sandro Dooley can produce. He's the next car to come across the line. Let's see what the Greek Ferrari can do. And he slots into... He doesn't slot into anywhere because he is beginning his lap. And Pablo Baz slots into P6 ahead of Kemmerer's Kick Sauber. We're going to follow Sandro Dooley on his flying lap attempt here. Heading out of the first couple of corners. This braking zone is quite difficult actually, because the bump makes it a little bit tricky to see the entry once you arrive there. But he seems like Dooley's made it work pretty well. This is also a very difficult corner, but once again The seasoned Ferrari driver of dualies doesn't seem to be troubled by any of it. Jamie Egerström has slotted into P6 on his first attempt, so he is a fair bit behind his teammate who is currently in P2 and only a couple of tenths down on Aramaco's first attempt. But down the strip here, the DRS will open for dualies here in a moment. There we go. And there's a long back straight down the strip. Rivals any long straight that is in Formula 1. I'm not sure if it is the longest straight in on the Formula 1 calendar, but it is very close if it isn't. But here comes dualies. Let's see what he can produce in terms of lap time. Into P4 for the Ferrari man. So that's very, very solid. Let's pick up... Who should we pick up? Let's pick up Mike Lowry here. He is rounding the final corner to begin his first attempt for his one of his home races. And obviously, depending on which state Lowry is from, which I'm not 100% sure, so I can't really say whether this or one of the other two American Grand Prix would be closer to where he is from. But regardless, having 3 races on home soil is always welcomed, I would imagine. So let's see what the number 95 can do here. Obviously also driving for an American team. It makes it a little bit more special if he can produce a good result this weekend. But a purple first sector there for Lowry. So far so good. He might actually, if he is a little bit lucky here, he might pick up a slipstream from the Red Bull in front of him down the strip. And I think that might be Nick van Gelder at the moment. Yeah, it is Nick van Gelder because Tim Ventink is in the pits. So van Gelder might actually give Lowry a slipstream here. And that is going to help the American greatly heading down the strip. Van Gelder pulls to the side here as to not give the Haas too much of an advantage, but a second sector that was also purple there from Lowry. So might we see the American jump to the front if he has a good couple of final corners here? Let's see what this produces. Heading towards the line. What is it going to be? This is going to be a fast lap time, I think. And over the line, it is a 1:31.1. It is good enough for P4 for Mike Lowry. And he gets out of the way of Nick van Gelder immediately as the Dutchman begins his flying lap attempt here. Tim Ventink at the moment on his outlap. Dion Stahl jumps to P11 ahead of Camera. Let's pick up Tim Ventink. He is coming around to almost start his qualifying run here. And Ivan Brito, also a driver who hasn't posted the lap time just yet, but he is out on track. I think he might actually be on a flying lap attempt here. Heading down the strip. Let's see what the Portuguese driver can do. Had his career best finish last time out in China. And let's see what he can do. And Theo providing me with the necessary information as Ivan Brito jumps to P11. Here comes Tim Ventink to begin his qualifying attempt. And apparently the Baku Straight is longer than the strip here in Las Vegas, where it is only 1.9 kilometers, or only. That is very long. The strip is 1.9 kilometers long, where the Baku Straight is apparently 2.2 kilometers long. So the Baku Straight is the longest straight on the Formula 1 calendar, apparently. But it is very close in comparison. It is only 300 meters in difference. But that is still quite a sizable gap. Tim Ventink at the moment the only driver who hasn't posted a lap time, as Jensen Randall manages to find a little bit more time and jumps into P2 out in front. He is currently, well, he gets displaced immediately by Falsaresi. And we're not watching that right now. We are watching Tim Venting trying to see what he can do in terms of that battle out in front. And under the floodlights and under the neon signs of the casino capital here comes Tim Venting into the heavy braking zone at the end of the strip. And he's just... Oh, big moment there for Tim Venting. He invalidates his lap time, cuts the corner, and takes too much curb there. So he's heading for the pits. Meanwhile, Jerome Adamaco, the man on provisional pole, has begun another qualifying attempt here. We have 7 minutes to go. So plenty of time for Tim Venting to get into the pits and regroup. Get a new fresh set of tires bolted on. And then go again. We have green flag racing. There's a yellow flag apparently down the strip. That might be for a slow-moving Williams. And a lock up there for Jerome Adamaco. He is fastest in Sector 1 with a purple Sector 1. So what can the German do here? Will be very interesting to see. Drivers are fairly spread out, so not too many people running into each other, although saying that in the final sector I can see a lot of activity. It is a purple second sector for Jerome Adamaco, and now he just has 3 corners to go. But we saw with Tim Venting that it can be tricky with that chicane at the end of the strip. So let's see what he can do. It does look like that Adamaco is driving the car on the limit. Ooh, takes a lot of curb there, but stays within track limits. Let's see if he can improve his provisional pole on this attempt. Here comes Adamaco. And he does. He takes it under 130. It is a 129.926 for Jerome Adamaco. And he improves provisional pole by another 10th or so. And Mike Lowry there cutting the chicane. So he's not going to improve this time around. Meanwhile, Sandro Dulis has displaced the American for P4. And a very solid lap time there from Dulis. But yeah, Jerome Adamaco looks like he is just a class of the field here today. In saying that though, we haven't seen a fresh or a clean run pretty much from anyone except for Adamaco so far. So we could still see the likes of Falsaresi, Randall or Venting potentially challenge Adamaco for that provisional pole. But let's see. Let's pick up Alexei Koivuniemi here. We haven't focused on anyone really except for the top contenders. And with all due respect to Koivuniemi, but he probably isn't one who is expecting a victory here today unless this is a chaotic race. But at the moment it looks like he is just heading back to the pits. His teammate though looks to be on a fast one. So let's pick up Pablo Bas. See what he can do. The number 73 Alpine. And he is currently tailgated by Ivan Brito, I think. Or that might be Adamaco actually. But Bas jumps to P8. So very solid run there from the Spaniard, who obviously also took his maiden F1 victory this season. And on home soil nonetheless. So that is very solid from him. I think let's cut to the other American here with Mason Kemmerer. The number 3 Kick Sauber. And what can he do? He's currently down in P13. That is a little bit lower than he probably wants. But judging from the couple of races I have seen him race in, he's a very solid driver, it has to be said. But let's see, this is probably not going to be a lap time that is going to set the world on fire. And he's probably going to have to go for another attempt. But rounding the final corner, yeah, he's 1.9 seconds off his own best lap time, which in of itself isn't the fastest one, as he just gets by Herstadhagen. Meanwhile, Tim Venting has ventured out onto the grid, onto the track again, but we're going to pick up the Williams of Nicolo Falsaresi, who I think might just have started another flying lap here as he passes his teammate. So let's see what the Italian can do. Ooh, big slide there from the Williams, but keeping it under control. And heading into this chicane that runs just by the Las Vegas Sphere. And he's going to encounter some traffic here in the form of Herstadhagen and Kemmerer. So let's see how he tackles this. He might actually get a bit of a slipstream as Pablo Baz has retired. I think it is in the pits, so it's nothing too crazy there. But yeah, Falsaresi gets a slipstream from Herstadhagen's Haas. Is he going to be able to pick up a slipstream from the Kicksauber of Kemmerer as well? He might actually. So this could be a very, very good lap time here for Falsaresi. So let's see what the Italian can do. He gets a bit of a slipstream coming out of the final corner and heading towards the line. Is it going to be any closer? It isn't. He is just about 2/10 down on his previous best. Let's go to the other Williams of Jamie Jägerström. There's a yellow flag in sector 1 or into turn 1. That is for Falsaresi, getting out of the way of Jägerström. So let's see if he can do any better than his teammate. At the moment, Tim Venting, is he coming across the line? He is, but he is bottom of the pile. So he's not had a good lap time here. And he will have to go again. The question is, though, is he actually going to be able to get a lap time in? Let's have a look here. Tim Venting. I hope for his sake that the previous lap was just a double warm-up lap, because he is not going to be able to do anything here. Oh, he is 0.003 of a second down on his previous best. So Tim Venting, is he cracking under the pressure here? He is currently 16th out of 16 as that was Mike Lowry who made an advancement to P4. Tim Venting, is it all falling apart here now for the Dutchman? We are going to get back to him. Jamie Jägerström is going to come across the line here. Can he challenge anywhere close to the front? Let's see what the Dane can do. It is good enough for P5. So good on Jamie Jägerström. Ivan Brito has retired. I think that might be in the pits, so no biggie there. Let's see. Tim Venting out of the final corner. What is this going to do for the Dutchman? He's currently down in last place. And Tim Venting, he gets to P9. That is nowhere close to where he would have wanted to finish this qualifying session. Jack Richards into P4. So very solid drive there from the Aston Martin. And Sandro Doolis, we are waiting for a couple of drivers to finish their lap times. Doolis is one of them. I think he is gonna be the next one to cross the line, and then it is Mike Lowry, and then Jensen Randall we are waiting for. So let's see. Doolis is the first one of the remaining drivers to get over the line. Let's see where he can put it. He goes to P5. Let's cut to Mike Lowry, because he is the man currently right behind Doolis on the timing tower. Let's see where the American can put his Haas. And it's not good enough for any positional improvement. And Jensen Randall has broken off his lap, so he is not going to improve. What about the remaining Ferrari of Dion Stahl? Last time we saw him, he was in the wall at the entry to turn 3. So let's see what the Dutchman can do here. He's currently in P13. If he could get... Oh, he heads to the pits. So he's not going to improve anywhere. But yep, that does it for qualifying. Jerome Adamaco takes another pole position here in SRL. But the interesting thing, his championship rival Tim Venting, all the way down in P10. and starting in the midfield, a very, very hot midfield. And that could be the turning point of the championship if Aramco potentially could take a victory today, because then the gap could be huge in the championship if Venting is not able to do anything to his championship rival. But a poor qualifying showing from Venting. It's very unusual to see that. But yes, Jerome Aramco pole position by half a second over Falsaresi. And then it is championship contender Jensen Randall in P3. Ahead of Jack Richards, a very solid qualifying from the Briton there. Ahead of Sandro Dooley's, and then it is Mike Lowry, the lead American, ahead of Jägerström and Koval in P8. Very solid qualifying from the pole there. Ahead of Koivuniemi and Tim Venting, the championship rival of Jerome Aramco. The man second in the championship, all the way down in P10 with a poor qualifying. And he is going to have his work cut out for him during the race. Luckily, this track is a track that is very easy to overtake at, but it's also a track that is very easy to get overtaken at. So this could be a very, very exciting Grand Prix we are looking forward to. But there we go. And drivers just dialing in their race strategies and their setups and their fuel loads just ahead of the Grand Prix. But a very, very close qualifying there. And this could be a spicy one. The run into turn 1 is not that long, but after the first two turns there is a long straight that leads into a hard right-hand braking zone for turn 3, which is basically a 90-degree corner, so overtaking opportunities are plenty, even on lap 1. And should you not be able to overtake heading into the beginning of sector 2, well, there's always the opportunity down the strip, the 1.9 kilometer long straight here at Las Vegas. But drivers are going to go around now for the formation lap. Jerome Aramco will be the driver in pole position. He might actually not have the preferred position though if he gets a poor start, because this man, Nicola Falsaresi, has the inside line on the start. And if he can get a good jump on the German, he could potentially challenge for the lead heading into turn 1. And if everything goes awry, the man here, Jensen Randall, who's not had the best of luck this season, could potentially see himself overtaking 2 cars for the race victory. And Jack Richards, who knows? He is also in a good spot here, sitting in P4, has that inside line heading for turn 1. He's ahead of Sandro Dooley's and Mike Lowry. So the top 6 could potentially exchange positions at the start. It will be very interesting to see. And if everything goes according to plan for this man, Jamie Jägerström, he could take up a lot of positions here on the start if the drivers in front of him can't work it out cleanly. And Justin Koval as well on the edge of the midfield right here. He is just ahead of the center of the hurricane, as we like to call it. And that hurricane begins with Alexei Koivuniemi ahead of Tim Venting. Then we have Pablo Bas in the other Alpine ahead of Ivan Brito. So a very spicy midfield, and we can even include Dion Stahl in that one. Ahead of Mason Kemmerer, Nick van Gelder and Robin Herstadhagen. So a very spicy tail end of this grid. There could be a lot of positional change here at the start. And I am looking forward to this Grand Prix start. What is also interesting about this track, it is one of the few, if not the only one on the Formula 1 calendar where the back end of the grid are actually not starting in a straight line. They are starting midway through a corner. So that makes starting from the lower positions even more difficult. As we get the predicted race strategies, the game predicts a maximum of 2 stops if everything goes according to plan and we have no safety cars. But judging from last weekend's Grand Prix, I don't think we're going to go through this one under green flags all the way, but that is just my personal opinion. But drivers are lining up now. Sandro Dooley's there getting rolled back ever so slightly, overshot his parking spot. That's not going to do him any favors in this Grand Prix start. But let's see what this race start is going to be like. It is a very short run heading into turn 1 here at Vegas. But if Falsaresi can get a good start, he could lead into turn 1. The 5 red lights go out for the Las Vegas Grand Prix, and it looks like Jerome Aramaco got away pretty well. And Falsaresi looking in his mirrors to try and defend from Jensen Randall. There's a bit of running wide there, but it looks like pretty much everyone got through that without any damage. As far as I could see, there's a bit of fighting going on here between, that is, Jägerström and Lowry. So Lowry not lucky on the start. Oh, bit of contact there with the Williams. And there's a lot of fighting going on here. Koval is alongside Koivuniemi here. They're running side by side. But a clean start, it would seem. Although saying that, what about Dion Stahl? Has he lost bits of his front wing? He has. So it wasn't a completely clean start. But Jerome Aramaco has broken away. He has pulled a 1.3 gap to Nicola Falsaresi behind him. And on this track, this is very, very important, with DRS already becoming active here on lap 2. So if he can keep that gap open just long enough that Falsaresi doesn't get the DRS activation, he could be already running away with this race here on lap 1. Jensen Randall manages to stick with Falsaresi. He's just on the edge of that DRS gap. And coming around to begin lap 2, there's a bit of movement here in the midfield. Koval and Koivuniemi moving ahead. Here comes Koval. He moves past Lowry. Lowry has not had the best of starts. Lowry swings to the inside to try and attack Koval back. But, oh, he actually does send it down the inside and around the outside. Oh, he chops across the V-Carp's nose there. And might have had Koval second-guessing his attempt. And Koivuniemi able to profit from that little exchange between the two. So good battling here. Meanwhile, the other Haas of Herstadhagen just been overtaken by the other Alpine of Pablo Bas for P13. And Nick van Gelder is the first driver to pick up a penalty here today. It's a 3-second time penalty for track limits. But here we go. DRS is now active. Let's see what Jensen Randall can do. Because Randall himself has broken a gap to Jack Richards behind. So can Randall mount an attack on the Williams of Falsaresi? And we're also just going to keep an eye on the drivers behind. There is a bit of slipstreaming going on here. We saw the DRS flap of Sandro Dooley's going crazy there, so he might have activated it a little bit earlier than he thought. But so far so good for these drivers. This is close racing here in the midfield. We see a battle here for P9 between Koval and Brito, as Brito's teammate out in front. Jensen Randall with the fastest lap, and Dion Stahl has put it into the wall in the final chicane, but he keeps it going, so no safety car just yet. And meanwhile, the battle in the midfield here over P6 is heating up quite a bit. Sandro Dooley still has the DRS coming from Jamie Jägerström. And it looks like Kemmerer and Stahl might have come together, both heading into the pits now. Meanwhile, Sandro Dooley is currently sitting in P6. He is hunting down Jamie Jägerström, but more importantly, he is trying to defend from Mike Lowry behind him. And Lowry looking very, very feisty here. The American not having the best of starts. Is he already... Oh, I thought he might have gone for it there, but that is a very unusual place to go for the overtake. heading onto the straight. But here we go. This DRS train could exchange positions quite rapidly. Let's see what the different drivers do. Dulis is on the attack. He looks to maybe have the upper hand. No, maybe not. But does Jägerström have something for Richards? Oh, Richards with a big slide there, heading into the final chicane. Jägerström doesn't get the run though, and Dulis is on the back of the Williams. But differences in setup looks to be taking its play here. To me, it looks like Jägerström has that Williams on very minimal downforce. And it is just rapid in a straight line. So let's see if he can make the overtake for P4 here on Jack Richards. He has now been trying it for a couple of laps. Here comes Jägerström. Does he go for it? No, he doesn't go for it just yet. And that keeps pretty much P4 to P8 bunched up together. But you can just see how much more pace it looks like Jägerström has at the moment. A quick look at the tire situation. Pretty much everyone on mediums except for Bas and Stahl. Stahl has already made a pit stop, so whether he is going to the end or not, I'm not quite confident that he can do that. But let's see what he can produce. And a poor run out of the final couple of corners here for Jägerström. Doesn't get the drive onto the strip that he would like. Meanwhile, Kemmerer in turn 3 looks to have hit into the wall. Let's see if this produces a safety car. He gets it going again, so no safety car just yet. Look at this little train that is going on here. Is Jägerström finally going to get past Richards here? He has the overspeed, it looks. And heading into turn 1. No, he doesn't quite go for it yet. So he is patiently sitting behind at the moment, just biding his time. Meanwhile, that is allowing the top 3 to pretty much just run away. They have broken away with a 4.3 second gap at the moment, down to P4. And finally, Jamie Jägerström gets past Jack Richards for P4. And he can now try and see what he can do in terms of closing the gap to Jensen Randall for P3. And meanwhile, let's see if Jack Richards is able to stick with the Dane here and maybe strike back at the Williams. But he is carrying a bit of a train at the moment, and I almost want to say that the P9, 10 and 11 are slowly creeping towards this little battle. So let's see what Richards has for Jägerström heading down the straight. We saw how fast in a straight line that Williams is. Does Richards have what it takes, or is he going to get overtaken here by Dulis? It looks to me as if Dulis might be trying an attack here at the end of the straight. Saying that though, the DRS is so powerful down this straight that it is quite difficult when your opponent in front does have the DRS. And it looks to me, yeah, Larry heads to the pits. So he is trying the undercut maybe. Maybe he's spotting an opportunity that if he can do a couple of fast-paced laps once he gets out of the pits, he has the potential to undercut this group of drivers right here. Because at the moment it did look like Dulis, Lowry and Koivuniemi did have a little bit more pace than Richards and Jägerström. But who knows? So Lowry going for the alternative strategy here. That I like to see it. I like to see it. That is always nice to see. And he has just come out ahead of his teammates, so he avoids traffic as well. So great strategy, potentially great strategy there from Haas. Now can Lowry make it work? Meanwhile, Richards, he is very close to the edge of that DRS gap. Same with Dulis, but they stay... Oh, Dulis running very deep there into the lead-out corner to the strip. But they are still within DRS of each other. Just yet. And Dulis Oh, he has a lot of speed. Oh, Richards doesn't have the DRS. He was just outside the detection when they came over the detection line, and Dooley's makes it up into P5 as a result of that. And can he now try and attack Jamie Jägerström? Meanwhile, looks like Koivuniemi is making his way past Richards as well. So Richards, in the span of a couple of corners, has lost 2 positions and fallen from P5 all the way down to P7. And does he maybe have a bit of damage to the floor? It's never easy to know. Meanwhile, Jensen, we have completely missed this because of the brilliant little scrap that has been going on for the lateral positions. But Jensen Randall has made his way past Nicolo Falsaresi for P2. And at the moment, I don't know whether it is because Aramaco is allowing it or whether Jensen Randall just has the superior pace at the moment. But right now, it looks like Randall is trying to hunt down Aramaco. So I completely missed that. I am very sorry about that. And very great news from Theo in the live chat. We have to... This is breaking news as we are just watching this. Let's actually just watch this little scrap that is going on here. Koivuniemi might have the DRS here on Dooley's. So let's see if he can go for the overtake. But yeah, we have had breaking news according to Theo, obviously. We have been in contact and we can confirm that next year we are going to have a race at the Vatican City. Oh, big slide there from Sandro Dooley's. But he keeps it out of the wall, but that is going to invite Koivuniemi into his slipstream. And Kemmerer again stuck down in turn 3. Not the best of friends with that corner, it seems, the Kick Sauber driver. And we have a yellow flag. That is Jensen Randall. Oh no, not again. Not again. He has seemingly not picked up any damage, but he has had to let P2 go. And Falsaresi has retaken 2nd place. But Jensen Randall, oh, the luck just does not smile upon him this season. And once again, it just doesn't seem like he can catch a break. And he is pretty much stranded in no man's land at the moment. Can he maybe? We saw him have some decent pace. Can he potentially close that 3-second gap down again that Falsaresi opened up? But the reigning champion is just not catching a break here. And the championship defense that he had hoped for in his final season, as he has announced, as a Formula 1 driver in SRL, is just not going according to plan. He could have been a 5-time world champion if he had been able to defend his title at the end of this season. But at the moment, it just doesn't look like it wants to happen. Meanwhile, Baz making his way past Brito, and Koivuniemi making his way past Dooley's here. So there are battles going on all the way through, it seems. Kind of difficult actually to keep up with. And Brito locked in battle here with Baz over P8. Oh, big slide there from Baz. And doesn't get the drive, and he might be under attack from Justin Koval at the moment. And we are currently on lap 9 out of 25. There's another move there from... Ooh, oi! Big clatter into the wall there from Baz's Alpine. A little bit of a scrap there with Ivan Brito. Oh, Brito runs a little bit deep into the chicane. And Baz, can he maybe do a switchback here? Not quite. But this is a close little battle we have for P8. Let's see what can either of these drivers do. Heading on to the strip, Baz and Koval are going to be the drivers who have the DRS. And I think that Brito might be defenseless on this one. Unfortunately for him. Meanwhile, up in front, Koivuniemi as well, trying to defend, and Bas makes it past Brito. Is Koval going to be able to try and overtake the Mercedes? Not quite. But can Brito come back at Pablo Bas? We see Bas's rear light blinking, so he is harvesting quite heavily. And here comes Brito. He gets a brilliant run here on the Alpine, and heading into turn 1, Brito retakes P8, but Bas hangs it around the outside. It becomes the inside for turn 2. Oh, this is a great little scrap here. Who gets the DRS? It is Pablo Bas who gets the DRS, and he also has the inside for turn 3. Brito squeezes him to the inside here. And into turn 3, Ivan Brito has to let Pablo Bas go. But a great little scrap here between these 3 drivers here. And Koval at the moment just sitting back and assessing the situation. Not trying to clip his front wing off. And yeah, it is true, Theo. Just reading your live chat. We just need a mediocre former driver as co-commentator. Well, I would say I probably classify as that. I was very mediocre when I was on the grid, but regardless, who cares? Here comes Bas again, but can Brito strike back? Ooh, this is actually good driving from these 2. Oh, this corner, is it wide enough for 2 drivers? Ooh, we have seen troubles with that in the past. There's a couple of drivers heading into the pits, and here comes Justin Koval. He also gets past Ivan Brito. Does he get a 2 for 1 heading into turn 1? Brito attempts a dive on Koval's V-carb. It seems like it might be nah, not quite. But Jägerström, Koivuniemi and Richards heading into the pits. And look at this. Mike Lowry, who boxed, I think it was just around 3 laps ago. He has managed to undercut both Koivuniemi and Jägerström. So brilliant job there from Haas to get Lowry on the correct strategy. He's obviously going to be on a little bit more worn tires, but if he can defend from Jamie Jägerström, that is going to be a brilliant strategy call from the American. And we are still yet to see the likes of Dulis, Bas, Brito and Koval pitting for the first time. So we could be looking at a scenario where Lowry might be in P4 once the pit stops have been served. So, race settling down a little bit. It seems like there might be some strategy heading into this one, as both Adamaco and Falsaresi and Randall, all 3 heading to the pits. And did I see that correctly? No, I didn't. It was just because the Williams garage was further down the pit lane that briefly we saw Falsaresi in the lead. But yeah, they exit as they came in. Oh, and actually, Jensen Randall has lost so much time with the mistake that he made a couple of laps ago that he has ended up behind Mike Lowry after the pit stops. So Lowry at the moment in a net P3. So a brilliant strategy call from Haas to box the American a couple of laps earlier and undercut the rest of the field. And at the moment, Pablo Bas still yet to pit. He is currently running in P3. But here we go. This is brilliant strategy racing from Haas, a team we usually see make questionable, or at least in the past, they made questionable strategy calls. But it seems like whatever they have put in their cornflakes this morning, it is working. And heading onto the strip here, this should not be any difficult for Mike Lowry to get P3 here away from Pablo Bas. as we head into the heavy braking zone. Larry goes for the inside and takes P3, but he is hot on his heels is Jensen Randall, and look at this. Randall already setting things right, in his mind at least, as Jensen Randall retakes that third podium spot away from Mike Lowry. And the question for Lowry right now, or the job for Lowry at the moment, would just be, can he run those tires all the way into the end? We saw a bit of end plate there on the exit of turn 2. So someone has gone into the wall and left a bit of carbon fiber on the exit there. So someone is running with a limited front wing. And Pablo Bas at the moment is a driver who... Oh, that is Mason Kemmerer. We just saw there. Where is he? He might be the one who has left a bit of carbon fiber on the exit of turn 2. Because he's missing parts of his front wing. But Jerome Adamaco leading by 6.3 seconds here at the end of lap 13. And the closest driver behind him at the moment is... actually Falsaresi, and I think Tim Ventic might have made a mistake heading onto the strip here. We saw him briefly stationary, as we have a battle here that really shouldn't be a battle. It is at the moment Pablo Bas holding up the majority of the grid here. Jamie Jägerström briefly ahead of the Spaniard, but the Alpine going back, taking P5 away, and that is helping his own teammate Alexei Koivuniemi. And look at this. This is brilliant teamwork from Pablo Bas. I know JB Jägerström is not gonna like this, but this is good driving from Pablo Bas. And look at this. Let's see, can Jägerström, he's shown the outside, chops across the nose of Pablo Bas, and Bas does not make it difficult for Koivuniemi. So he has helped his teammate out pretty well here. And can he now defend from Jack Richards to try and give his teammate a little bit of breathing space to maybe try and work a way around Jägerström for P5? Solid teamwork there from Alpine. And yeah, as you say, Teo Kemmerer is having an absolutely horrific race here today, unfortunately. But let's see, what can Koivuniemi do? I don't think... Yeah, Jägerström does not have the DRS, so Koivuniemi is going to have a clean shot at the Williams here. Let's see what he can do. He swings to the inside and cleanly passes him. So brilliant stuff there from Alpine, as Adamaco decides to post the fastest lap of the race. I mean, are we really surprised at this point? And if Koivuniemi has worked this out to perfection, he can maybe slingshot his way towards the back of Larry's Haas. Meanwhile, we have a slow-moving Red Bull. I think that might be Nick van Gelder down in P15. But brilliant strategy racing from the midfield here today. This is great to see. Different strategies, different approaches to tackle overtaking here at the Las Vegas street circuit, as Larry gets a bit of a fishtail going out of turn 3 there, as Kemmerer has finally retired, and that produces a virtual safety car. So not a full safety car here on lap 15, but drivers will be required to slow down significantly. And a horrible day for Kemmerer comes to an end. I'm not even sure where the American retired, but a VSC has been called out. And if this falls right, it could help out pretty much anyone here. And look at this. Koivuniemi is within half a second of Mike Larry for P4. So Alpine doing wonders here today. And I think this might also have helped Pablo Bas in terms of his pit stop at the moment. Because I think he recently pitted. But yeah, you can see how it's shaken up the order, this difference in strategy. But we go back to green flag, and Koivuniemi is instantly on it. Overtakes Lowry for P4, and Jägerström swings past the American together with Koivuniemi. So the two Nordic drivers there, sharp on the restart, and they have outsmarted the American. Koivuniemi now is the driver who sits defenseless in terms of DRS at least, and Jägerström is the man in prime position to try and overtake the Finn for P4. Hang on a minute, what has happened here? Wait, I have completely missed something, because Jerome Adamaco has slipped into P3. Has he made a second stop? He has made a second stop. So Jerome Adamaco, I've been completely focused on the midfield battle that I completely missed that Nicolo Falsaresi has taken over at the lead. Jensen Randall has slotted into P2 because Jerome Adamaco has made a second pit stop. That has thrown things up in the air, I think, and I don't think that VSC would have helped Adamaco's case. But let's see. He's going to have to do 2 overtakes to regain the lead. But a spicy turn of events for the front 3. Meanwhile, Jack Richards there going... Oh, he has not really made that work. Larry's front wing has been... Well, it's comparable to a Lego set that has not been put together just yet. It is in pieces. And that could be a penalty heading for Jack Richards. Because that looked a little bit clumsy from where I was sitting, but it could also just be the camera angle. But Larry, after a brilliant race, to be frankly, and a brilliant strategy call, has to go into the pits and get a new front wing. And that really, really sucks for his sakes. But it is what happens sometimes, unfortunately. But yeah, I have completely missed that Jerome Adamaco went into pit for a second time, because we were watching the battle here between Koivuniemi and Jägerström for P4. And soon there might actually be a battle for P2 between Jerome Adamaco and Jensen Randall. 2 drivers we have seen a couple of times duke it out on the tarmac, and it has gone either way, both in both favor several times. Speaking of going in your favor, here comes Jamie Jägerström, overtakes Koivuniemi for P4. And that didn't look difficult at all. And if this were to finish like this, as Jack Richards picks up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting, if Jägerström can retain this P4 and Falsaresi somehow is able to retain the lead of the Grand Prix, that would be a very solid points harvest for Williams in terms of the Constructors' Championship. And Jerome Adamaco has made his way past Jensen Randall. Not a very difficult overtake. It was done with the aid of DRS heading into turn 3. And his next target now is going to be Nicolo Falsaresi's Williams. And we have seen these two go at it before. We have seen these two go hammer and tong on each other. We know Falsaresi is a very, very robust driver when it comes to both attacks and defense. And similarly with Jerome Adamaco. So this one could end up being really spicy. So let's see, Adamaco at the moment 1.2 seconds behind Falsaresi's Williams. We're going to just switch between the battle for P4 and the battle for P1. It is a Williams that is being hunted down in both scenarios. And Koivuniemi, is he going to be able to sling an attack here? Not quite, he's not close enough. So he's going to have to settle for potentially the drag into turn 3. But Falsaresi looking in his mirrors, because right now Aramako is within striking distance when it comes to the DRS. We see the flap go up there, so Aramako has firmly made himself present to Nicola Falsaresi. But crucially, he's also bringing a second contender for this race victory. He's bringing Jensen Randall with him into this little scrap here for P1. So it's going to be a three-way fight for the lead of the race here, potentially heading into the final sector on lap 19. This is going to be a spicy one, I think. But what can Aramako do? Does he just have the overspeed? Does he just have excess amounts of battery stored up? It will all be answered now. It is 5/10 between Falsaresi and Jerome Aramako. But Aramako has the DRS. But we have seen that Williams being trimmed out. Saying that though, Falsaresi, he's run out of battery, and Aramako at the end of lap 19 retakes the lead of this Grand Prix. Solid stuff there from Aramako. And similarly, we see here between Jägerström and Koivuniemi. And Jägerström actually gets the run heading out of the chicane and across the line. It is still quite close between the two. Not quite able there, Jägerström, to strike back. Same goes for Falsaresi. Let's watch Koivuniemi and Jägerström here, because I do think maybe the straight might not be long enough for Jägerström to be able to mount an attack. Not quite though. Sandro Dooley's in P6 at the moment, not quite able to attach himself to the fight for P4. And Jerome Aramako, he got past Falsaresi and he has just bolted away and left Randall and Falsaresi to duke it out between themselves for P2. I think we might see an attack here from Jensen Randall. So let's see what happens here. The McLaren is flashing though, so it might be running low on battery and not able to overtake Falsaresi. No, Falsaresi able to defend that position. What is the situation further down for P4? Jägerström, he goes for the overtake again on Koivuniemi, passes the Alpine and retakes P4 for himself. But Koivuniemi, look at the drive he's getting out of the final corner there. If he had a little bit of battery that he could splash away, he could potentially retake that 4th place heading into turn 1. Oh, he's making Jägerström second guess himself a little bit here. So this little scrap that is going on here is quite intriguing at the moment. And Nick van Gelder again picking up another penalty. He's picked up several ones. This time it's a 10-second time penalty. That must have been a severe corner cut, since he you usually only receive a 3-second time penalty for extending the track limits, but a 10-second time penalty, that has to be a deliberate corner cut then. Not that I would think he would do such a thing, but I mean, the penalty speaks for itself. Meanwhile, Falsaresi still able to defend himself from the clutches of Jensen Randall's McLaren. But we can see, yeah, it just does not look like Randall has the top speed to attack the Williams. And what about this little battle here? Koivuniemi now the man who's sitting behind Jamie Jägerström, heading down the strip. And the Williams top speed is quite impressive, actually. Koivuniemi not able to do anything there to overtake Jägerström. Heading into turn 1, is he going to try a dive to the inside? That would be quite the dive bomb if he were to do so. So not this time around. Meanwhile, a man we really have not spoken anything about, except for when he has made mistakes in this Grand Prix, is Tim Venting, who's still down in the lower end of the points-paying positions. And I'm not usually one who's pessimistic about it, but this championship fight looks to be over if Adamaco ends up actually showing up for the last couple of races in the season. It is becoming more and more difficult, it would seem, for Tim Venting, and it looks like the pressure is getting to the Dutchman. But what a pressure that Adamaco has also put on his championship rival, as Falsaresi is lapping Van Gelder here. Oi! And he tacks the wall there, Falsaresi, knocks a bit of the front wing off. Is that going to have any implications for his hopes of finishing in P2? As we see a move here. Ooh, bit of a scrap here going on between Koivuniemi and Jägerström. The two Nordic drivers still going at it. And we have a yellow flag in Sector 1. That is just Nick van Gelder letting Jensen Randall lap him. And as you're saying, Theo, Nick van Gelder seems to be testing the attention span of the penalty system. And right now, that is a fight that Nick van Gelder is losing quite severely. But it is what it is. The battle goes on here for the points-paying positions. Jensen Randall has, unfortunately, fallen out of DRS range of Falsaresi. So the closest battle we currently have on track right now is the battle for P4 between Koivuniemi and Jägerström. And what a battle that is. And we have a stranded Haas of... who is that? I have no idea who that might be. That might actually be Mike Lowry, because his delta is fluctuating a little bit. He gets it going again. So no safety cars at this time. And Jägerström once again makes it past Koivuniemi for P4. These two have been swapping positions every single lap almost. And whoever finishes on top, well, kudos to them. Because this has been a race-long battle that has been going on pretty much since the first pit stop round. So this is quite the fight we're watching. Once again, another yellow flag. That is for a slow-moving Red Bull. I believe that might be Nick van Gelder again. And these drivers we're watching here, Jägerström and Koivuniemi, are probably not going to be able to lap Van Gelder unless Van Gelder makes another mistake. But let's wait and see. Meanwhile, Jensen Randall has been able to hunt down Falsaresi again. So it seems like the gap that opened up was just due to Randall having to recharge his battery. And it seems to be fully charged once again. And he is on the back of the Williams. So the fight for P2 is by no means over yet. And this might actually be a last lap attempt from the reigning world champion. We see Falsaresi, he's been running quite a while on those hard compound tires. They are starting to wear away as we head on to the final lap of this Grand Prix. It's been one heck of a race. And there's been loads of position swaps. We're just going to watch this battle for P2 right here. Because it decides who finishes ahead. This is a fight for position not only on track, but also in the Drivers' Championship standings. These two obviously sitting P3 and P4 as Randall goes for the outside here into turn 3. Can Falsaresi, he sticks it down the inside, locks up, runs into the McLaren there. And they touch But it doesn't seem like Randall picked up any damage. And we have a yellow flag. That is Van Gelder letting the mid-pack through. And look at this, very, very close between Randall and Falsaresi. Oh, and this battle is by no means over. Jensen Randall takes the second place away from Falsaresi, but heading on to the strip. Was that the smart move from Randall? Because he now has to defend down the strip. Can he do it? Meanwhile, Jerome Adamaco on course for another victory here today. And Falsaresi draining the battery. Is it going to be enough for the Italian? He's going to have to try an almighty send here. He goes for the outside, but not enough. Jensen Randall runs it deep. We're going to have to cut to Jerome Adamaco, who wins yet another Grand Prix here in Las Vegas. But coming to the line, Jensen Randall is going to be able to just hold off Nicola Falsaresi for P2. And a brilliant drive there from Jensen Randall. It was a last lap ditch. And Sandro Dulis somehow has made it into P4. He stored up a lot of energy. He takes fourth place away from Alexei Koivuniemi. And then it is Jamie Jägerström. So loads of action here on the final lap. It's 36 thousandths of a second that splits Dulis from Alexei Koivuniemi. And then it is Jack Richards in P7. Tim Venting with a horrible Grand Prix here today. Finishes P8 ahead of Justin Koval. And then it is Ivan Brito, the final points finishing driver. But that got really close in the end. And Sandro Dulis out of nowhere takes fourth place away from Jamie Jägerström and Koivuniemi. What a finish to the race. Jerome Adamaco, although they did try it at the start of Grand Prix, he was no match. There was no one who was a match for the German. And he takes a huge step towards what could eventually become his first of potentially many World Championships in SRL Formula 1. And Mike Larry, as a consolidation, takes the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. But a brilliant drive once again from Jerome Adamaco. And with his championship rival finishing in P8. Who is to say that this wasn't the race that could have changed it all? But the German flag rises to the top once again as Adamaco shows his class once again. Ahead of Jensen Randall, who had a brilliant comeback, in my opinion. And then it is Nicolo Falsaresi with a podium finish once again, it has to be said. I'm pretty sure he would have liked that it would have been P2 instead of P3, but I mean, beggars can't be choosers. And both drivers drove a brilliant race here today. So Jerome Adamaco, yet another victory, a big step towards the championship as we spoke about, ahead of Jensen Randall, and then it is Falsaresi, the final driver on the podium. Sandro Dulis out of nowhere to finish P4 ahead of Koivuniemi, Jamie Jägerström, and then it is Jack Richards ahead of Tim Venting down in P8. Only 4 points for the championship rival ahead of Justin Koval and Ivan Brito with the final point here today. Although it has to be said that these results are provisional and they are subject to change if the stewards do find anything that they did not like. I find it highly improbable that we're going to see Jerome Adamaco's race victory stripped away from him. So once again, a huge step for Jerome Adamaco towards his first championship title, his first full season in SRL's Formula 1 series, and he looks to be the class of the field. Only a couple of drivers have managed to do this, what he is doing right now, as a matter of fact. Season 2 champion Alex Benedicchetti also doing what Adamaco is currently doing, with participating a couple of races in the previous season, much like Adamaco did last year, and then going on to absolutely curb stomp I would probably use that expression, the competition in taking his first title. And similarly was what we saw back in Season 2 when Alex Benedetti did a similar thing. So Adamako, I mean, he is taking a page out of one of the great SRL drivers' books, and he is trying to replicate what has been done before. So brilliant stuff there from Jerome Adamako. Driver of the day, in my opinion, though, has to go to Alexei Koivuniemi. We briefly saw that the game also did think that the Finn had a brilliant drive, and taking recent race finishes into consideration, I would say that Koivuniemi definitely deserves that one. He had a brilliant race and a brilliant strategy. Who knows, if Larry's front wing hadn't been chopped off, I would probably have given him the driver of the day with that strategy call, but at last that did not end up the way that he would have liked it. So, but there we go, that is the end of Las Vegas and round 16 of the SRL Formula 1 World Championship. A bit of a slow burner midway through. Great thing was that we had a lot of battling going on in the midfield. So much, in fact, that we'd completely missed several times that the lead exchanged hands. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Unfortunately, though, I won't be with you on the next Grand Prix, which is on the 4th of April. It is round 17. It is the Japanese Grand Prix at the Suzuka circuit. It's going to have to be a substitute commentator once again. I am very sorry that I have been absent a couple of times recently, but I am full of confidence that you are going to be in good hands regardless. Although, with that being said, I am going to be back for the Canadian Grand Prix instead. And that is round 18. That is the 11th of April. And then for the 18th of April, we are going to head for round 19. We're heading to the Middle East. It is the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And we might as well just run the calendar out at the moment. May 2nd, we're going to have a long break after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Round 20 is on May 2nd. It is the Singapore Grand Prix. Brilliant little track, in my opinion. And then on May 9th, we are going to have what I do believe is the Mexican Grand Prix. It is still yet to be 100% confirmed, but I do believe it is the Mexican Grand Prix. And then May 16th, we go to the season finale, round 22, and it is at Sao Paulo in Brazil for the Brazilian Grand Prix. So there's loads of racing to look forward to. And as I said, I do trust that you are going to be in good hands next race, even though I'm not going to be providing the commentary. But I will be back for the following race, so no worries there. But yeah, that was the end of that. A brilliant little race, so make sure, as I said, race results are provisional. They are subject to change. But if you want to make sure that you don't miss those probable changes, I would highly suggest that you head over to Instagram and follow us on @SRL_F1. That's where you're going to get all of the latest news, both relating to the championship, but also announcements and, well, signing of drivers and such. So that's where you can get all of your latest news, @SRL_F1. If you like the live stream, if you enjoyed the races here today, and in general just like what we are doing here on the channel, I would also highly suggest that you like and subscribe. It shows your appreciation for everything that we produce here on the channel. And we obviously do it for you guys. We obviously love it just ourselves. We love to go racing, but it doesn't really matter if there's not an audience that also enjoys it. So your opinion means a lot to us. But yeah, that is it. I'm going to leave it hanging here. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always, to do commentary for you. My name is Sam. Unfortunately, as I said, won't be with you for the next round, but the following round I'll be back. So until then, I wish you a very blessed Saturday, a blessed week, and until we see each other again, have a lovely one.